Hello, everyone. We are back with our fourth topic in the Sustainable Entrepreneur Series. My name is Lenisha Renee. I am the founder and lead business coach and marketing consultant here at LR Consulting Firm. And welcome back. Welcome back. We have a jam-packed topic this go round, and I was so excited to get to this topic because it is one that comes up a lot in multiple of my conversations. So I am excited to bring this topic to be a part of the series. So this is about website functionality as a business tool, not a digital brochure, which a lot of times you see websites that just have contact information, a sign up form, um, different information about services or solutions or products, and it doesn't really work for you. And that's what we're going to get into today. So, some of the topics that we're going to discuss is the problem with the brochure websites, right? We're going to dive right into that topic. How your website as a business asset, right? Your website is most certainly a business asset. Understanding your audience needs and how they will interact with your website. Core website functions that drive results. The functionality of your website is so important, how it renders and on all different kinds of devices. And the functionality is a little bit different on mobile versus tablet versus desktop. And then what it means for your website to work for you. We're going to talk about that as well. Your brand must be clearly defined first. We talked about that in the brand session where your brand is so important and it is the first thing that comes before business. So your brand has to be clearly identified and how your audience uses your website, how they connect with your website, and then connecting website functionality to how you generate revenue. So let's get into it. We have so much to talk about. And, many businesses invest in websites that look great, but they do not perform. Your website should not just exist, it should work for you daily. That's very important to understand. So today's focus is turning your website into a revenue generating and operational tool, right? So you'll be surprised how many clients come to me because their website is either malfunctioning, they're unsure of what functionality is necessary, what plugins, what's the difference between a Joomla website, what's the difference between a WordPress, what's an HTML. All of these things make a huge difference. That's foundationally the technology side of the website, the Joomla, WordPress, HTML. But they all play a major role in what you would need as a plugin or functionality or a feature on the website. So, one of the problems there's quite a few problems with brochure websites is, it's visibility without performance. There's no analytics, there's no way of tracking your visits or anything. So, a brochure style, which is what we call, is it just basically shares just your generic information. It lacks clear direction and it doesn't guide your user onto the website. These websites rely on visits to figure it out. So the visitors that are coming, and excuse me, I said visits, but the visitors that are coming to your website, they need to be guided. It needs to be an experience. It needs to be mapped out. Every page, every CTA, all needs to be mapped out. As soon as they come to your landing page, which is your home page, they need to be guided, right? And a lot of these brochure websites, they do not do that, and then the result of having that kind of website is low engagement, low conversions, and missed opportunity. A website that only informs but doesn't guide is underperforming, right? And it just doesn't help for your leads to convert. It doesn't help the experience that your visitor has when they come to your website. Your website should attract, engage, convert, and support your operations. That's what it means for your website to work for you. It has to be a part of your strategy, your growth strategy. The functionality has to be a part of your consumer or customer strategy. A high performing website, it leads to generation sales support system. It needs to have customer education hub. So if you look on my website, where lrconsultingent.co, you'll notice that there is an informative blog that has a lot of thought leadership material that can answer questions for visitors, right? Before they even come and want to fill out a contact form. They go to the blog to because I know my audience and I know what they're going to ask. I know what they want to be informed about or educated on. They go to the blog, they read the blog for the topics that has to do with their business or what they're learning at that time. And then they come and fill out a form and like, hey, I saw XYZ information on the blog. I have additional questions. I think my business needs XYZ. So I'm guiding the conversation. I'm guiding through leadership content. And then also there are templates for questionnaires. Visitors download the questionnaires and then they have additional questions after they fill out the questionnaire. So it sparks their interest. It sparks additional questions that then allow them or engage with them, and then pushes them to reach out to me so I can then answer additional questions that now they have from either reading the thought leadership blogs or completing the questionnaire. So your website is also a business asset. And from an operational standpoint as well, your website is a strategic asset, and it's not just a digital presence. It's not there to just be pretty. It's not there just to hold information about who you are as the CEO, and it's not there just to put your products or your services on there. It has to do something for you. Your website should directly support revenue generation, client acquisition, operational efficiency. And then, some of the examples of functionality should be like a booking system or automated inquiries, service explanations, onboarding information. And those are just at a very low level. When structuring your website correctly, your website reduces a lot of manual work on your end, right? So an example on my website would be I have a scheduling booking tool. I also have a pay now for a lot of my clients that are on phase programs or phase out strategies. They have the opportunity to go in and make the payments that they're informed about and they're scheduled to make on their own. They have their own, they have autonomy to make whatever payments based on the contractual obligation. If visitors have the ability to schedule and book, I also automate my invoices through another system that is outside of my website, but it is connected to my website through an API. So all of those things are very important for a structural standpoint and operational, because it does reduce the manual work on my end. And everything just kind of runs as an automated system. Then your brand must be clearly defined first. Let's get into that, because branding is so important and it comes before the business, right? So clarity in your brand is clarity in your website. Before building or updating your website, your brand must be defined. I cannot stress that enough. Who you serve, what problems you solve, how you are different. Without brand clarity, messaging becomes inconsistent and visitors become confused. Your website should reflect a clear, consistent brand experience, right? It should be very clearly defined who you are, who you service, why, and what pain points that you are solving for that audience. And then now going into understanding your audience needs, right? So we'll skip to the next slide also. Let's see here. Huh. All right. So, because again, I want to make sure that it is ingrained in anyone that is listening and watching this YouTube slide. Your website is part of your framework. It is not an afterthought, just like your marketing is not. And it is designed to serve your audience and drive sustainable growth. Everything about this series is about sustainable entrepreneurship. Okay. So, going back to brand, your brand must be defined, right? We know that your brand needs to, especially on your website should reflect a clear, consistent brand experience. And then understanding your audience needs. That's so important. You have to design for how your audience thinks, searches, and decides. All of that comes in when you're doing your market research, your target audience research, when you're looking and in the market, especially if you know what the market looks like. All of these things would be a part of how you would strategize and create your website, right? Because again, your website should work for you daily. It should guide user action. It should have a clear and consistent brand experience that you design for how your audience thinks, how they decide, how they search. And you also design based on the user experience for that audience, right? Your website should be used for a revenue generating and operational tool. And it should be a part of the thoughts on what your strategic assets are. Your website is one of your strategic assets, and it's part of your growth strategy. It should also capture the interests of your audience, and it should have consistent branding and messaging. So your website should be built around your audience, not your preferences. You definitely have to understand what your audience is looking for, what questions they have, what concerns or objections they bring. And then your website should answer those questions clearly and quickly. Going back to the templates that I have on the website, a lot of times on LR Consulting, ENT.co, Resource Center, those templates are thought provoking. Right? Those are things that visitors who are not clients can go download, fill out, take their time, and really think about who their audience is, think about their market, think about their services, solutions, or products. It is thought provoking, and it pushes them to ask additional questions, which that in return will cause them, will prompt them to schedule a consultation, a coaching session, or just a Q&A to answer some of their initial questions, right? So how your audience uses your website is another topic that is so important when you're creating your website, developing it, or coming out with the mapping, structuring the mapping. That's what we call it in design. Your audience is looking for clarity, solutions, direction. Visitors typically come to your website to solve some kind of problem that they're running into with their business, or some type of, they're looking for a solution. They're evaluating your services, they're evaluating your branding, they're seeing if it resonates if your messaging resonates with them. And then they will make a decision if they're gonna trust you. And your website should guide them through a clear journey through your mapping exercise. And then it should be easy to take them to the next step. Every page has a purpose and direction on your website. Every single page, because it is a part of your mapping, and it's a part of pushing them into the flow and in the direction that you want them to go into, right? So like the core website functionalities that mostly drive results include like clear service positioning, strong call to actions, lead capturing systems, user-friendly navigation. Like key elements that make a website work are traditionally clear explanation of services or solution, CTAs, which are call to actions, book now, schedule here, inquiry. Those are CTAs, like those buttons that you guys see on my website where I think it says call now. Those are all CTA buttons, and they need to be clear, and they need to be through your website after you're putting out messaging about what you do. Lead capturing forms where there could be gated material, which means they would have to like create an account. Those haven't been doing so good over the last few years. So I do not gate my material for downloads anymore. But other examples are short forms, download here, consultations, and then simple navigation so users don't get lost. Right? You don't want them to get lost in your pages, right? If they're on a page, like I'll give an example for a lot of visitors ask between the difference of coaching and consulting. When you go onto the website, there is a drop down for both that explains what both in detail. It talks about both services as a service or a solution, and it guides them with CTAs to book a consultation or to push them to, hey, here's some questionnaires that you could download, and you could spend some time with yourself thinking about what these things are before you actually come to the conversation with me. It will be thought provoking for you. And then you can have a better understanding of what you may need. And then, like elements that support lead generation, right? These are, again, clear call to actions. They're designed to capture interest and convert visitors into prospects. So again, the CTAs were the examples on my page, like book a consultation, get started, download these questionnaires, and then these things matter because it removes so much of the guesswork and directs user behavior, right? Lead capturing forms. Some examples of those is they're very simple. They're contact forms. They're simple. We call them short forms, and they're not overwhelming. Some other lead capture examples is newsletter or email sign up. You guys will see that when you go to my website. We call it interstitial. It's an interstitial. Let's try saying that quick 3 times. It's an interstitial that pops up on the website, and it says, hey, sign up for the newsletter. That's one way. There is a short form. There are also free resource downloads. These turn anonymous traffic into own audience data because they have to, again, going back to gated material to download. I do not gate my material, but I do get audience data from newsletters and from the contact form. And then also when they book consultations. But you can also have landing pages. So anytime that I am looking to track a campaign or an ad, I'll create just one landing page because then, and I'll have CTAs on that landing page where I can do data capturing. That's a whole nother conversation, but you can do it depending on what the plan is. And look, another quick alternative, if you do not want to build this whole website, you can have a landing page. It's just on that one landing page, you would have to have all these CTAs that's on the landing page, or you can have one CTA of fill out this form for additional inquiries or contact us. You can have a download brochure that talks about your services and your products. You can have a newsletter sign up. There's different ways that you can capture data information, visitor data information, where you don't have to have this robust website. You can just have a landing page. You don't want to overwhelm the landing page, but as long as the landing page has the necessary lead capturing features and functionalities that's necessary for your audience, hey, you can start there. I have had multiple clients who started with just a landing page and they built up to like, here's the secondary page, here's the third page. So it's not something where you have to be your website has to be as robust as mine. So the landing pages are focused pages tied to an offering, service, or if you just want a landing page that talks about you, your products, your services, your solutions, with lead capturing abilities or features. I typically use it in a different landing pages in a different way, but they offer higher conversion rates than general website pages if you're using it specifically for like an ABM campaign, which is an account-based marketing campaign where you're trying to push your automation or your email campaigns to a specific landing page for a specific audience because the data shows that this target audience wants to see this information. So anyway, that's a whole other topic. And then the elements of building that trust, right? Trust is what moves someone from interested to I am ready to either purchase or to schedule a consultation. Again, this ties back into consistency in your brand and your messaging. You have to have the same tone, visuals, and positioning across all pages for a more robust website. And it matters because consistency builds credibility and recognition. So it's so important. And some of those social proofs are like testimonials, client results or case studies, reviews. It's so important to have even that part of building trust on your website because people trust proof more than they trust promises, right? Because to them, these are just words on your website on these pages, right? And then the about page with authority. That's so important. It's your story. It's who you are. When you go to my about us page, or about CEO, it doesn't just talk about who I am as the CEO and founder of LR Consulting Firm and LM Investments, Nisha Nova Farm. It speaks to it because those are my other businesses or initiatives, but who I am as a single mother, who I am as working and moving my way up the ladder in my career and having a business since 2009. It speaks volumes for the authority that I have in the solutions that I provide, the services that I provide. So it's very important to talk about who you are. What's your story? What's your expertise? What's your mission? Why do you like doing what you're doing for your audience? And then the professional design and user experience. So I cannot be again, this is another thing that I have to pound in people's head, right? Responsiveness is so important. A website that can be viewed, and I'm going to give you the definition of what a responsive website is. It is a website that can be viewed seamlessly on multiple devices where it will automatically adjust the layout for desktop, tablet, mobile, and it's primarily called responsive or a responsive website, which RWD is the acronym. And this technology uses flexible layouts and fluid grids to ensure the site looks good and all the functions work properly. How you view my website on your desktop or your tablet is going to look different on your mobile. And a lot of times I have one client that we worked on it was about a $70,000 website, which is very important. Most people are not paying that much for a website. And even though the website looked great and it was responsive on a tablet and a desktop, it was absolutely horrible on mobile because it was not rendering properly. You have to go back and render everything, or you have to go back and make edits to the website so that it renders properly in the mobile view. And when you look at the data, most people most visitors view your website on their mobile device, and it shows in data. So a lot of people a lot of visitors who cannot have a clear direction and a flow on your website. If they click on CTAs and they're not working or they're not enabled, There sometimes your headers have text over them from the body of the page. So think about what that experience would be like for you, right? That would be a horrible experience because you need a clean layout for both mobile, desktop, and tablet. It needs to be, your website needs to be mobile friendly, fast loading. All this matters because poor design signals risk and lower trust instantly. I am not going to do business with someone who I can't, understand your website. I cannot navigate your website, or your website looks terrible. I couldn't do it, right? And then you need you need clear contact information, email, short forms, a booking link. It matters because accessibility increases legitimacy, right? Definitely. um, and it gives access to you. You need access. A visitor needs to be able to access you, and you need to be prompt in how you respond to them. You can't wait. If someone fills out a short form, or sends an email, or books with you, you need to immediately follow up with confirmations, so that they know you're responsive, right? And then elements that support scalability. Let's talk about that. See, these allow your business to grow without increasing manual effort. So, when I say this, because that is like a technical term for support scalability, I'm talking about automation and integrations, right? So, for those who have a budget and can do lead tracking through their CRM integration, which is like Salesforce, HubSpot, those are parts where you can support scalability, and it also allows your business to grow without increasing manual effort, because a lot of those automations can be set up. Email automation, which is important, like I was saying, email follow-ups, nurture and life cycle email campaigns, invoice reminders, confirmation emails when someone has booked for a consultation, or book to have a discussion with you, right? Or a Q&A. Sending emails automatically that will confirm, you receive the visitor's contact information, or even scheduling tools like calendar booking. It's so important because this reduces manual workload and increases efficiency on your end. It also helps to have great and timely follow up with those who are reaching out and accessing you. So some of the content hubs, like the well, let's take this back. So what I'm going to go into now is still about manual, and growing with sustainability and scalability, right? So there are certain areas that I use on my website that will answer a lot of questions, or it will spark additional questions. Either way it goes. One of those are my content hub, which is my blog and my resource center. The educational content that answers audience questions, which is very important because with SEO and Google, it drives organic traffic and positions you as a thought leader. So that's another area that will help support and support scalability, and help your audience to either answer some of their questions or have additional questions. And then when we think about search optimization, which are CEO foundations, again, Google will optimize your website. Typically, when we create a website, we also do an SEO audit based on services, based on your audience, because Google does optimize your pages. They look at those keywords, and then, as you get further along in your business, you'll start even tracking those keywords to see how they're ranking, right? And this is search optimization and SEO is so important because it creates long-term visibility without paid ads. This is literally, I've gotten so many Google Google contacts or Google leads without even having to do Google ads, because Google is It's Google is optimizing all of my pages, including the keywords for my SEO ranking. And it's pushing my website up depending on what that person is searching. And it's redirecting them to my website, or not necessarily the best way to say it is not redirect, but I'm moving up on the pages in the search. So it is important to understand also what this looks like in creating your website. That's why your messaging is important. That's why keywords that you put in there that is for your industry or your market or your audience is important, because Google will optimize your pages. And that part is just it's important. That is actually getting organic traffic to your website that you do not have to pay for. So, and then you have scalable service pages, which are like clearly structured offers that can grow. You have, packages, you have tiered pricing, you have payment plans, easy pay features, different programs. All these things allow for you to engage from on your service pages that offer options. Now, I'm not saying have all of them. Definitely don't have all of them, but there are several that you can include, which shows that you're flexible with your services, right? It supports expansion without rebuilding your site as well. And then going back to SEO and analytics, Google Analytics, heat maps like Hotjar, conversion tracking. You can scale. It's hard to scale what you can't measure. So Google Analytics is free to set the account up. They call it GA4 now. The conversion has happened, where when you set up your website, it will track your pages for free for you. Now, it's not going to identify who the audience is, because you have to capture that through your CTAs, your call to actions, where you're actually getting visitor data. But you can at least see what pages are doing great. You can at least see what blogs are doing good. You can see what people are downloading on the site. And it is free, right? So why not? Why not access it? Even with a heat map like Hotjar, you can see what people are clicking on your website. And again, it's free. So we are now several minutes in and past time. But again, this was such a in-depth segment, and the session, it required a lot of information, and all of this information is valid for some, you may not be at a stage for a robust website, and again, could be just a landing page. But some of the key takeaways from today's session is, your website should work for your business. It should reflect a clear brand, clear messaging, and it needs to serve your audience, and it has to support growth and operations. A high performing website is intentional, it's not accidental, and it does combine brand clarity, audience understanding, functional design. Because when your website is done correctly, your website becomes one of the most valuable business tools, and it will grow with you. So I know that was a lot of information to download, everyone. And it's a lot, because your website, again, is so important. It's an operational tool, it's a conversion tool, it is how you display your brand and your messaging. It does so many things for you. It's how you schedule calls, it's how you get contacts. And it needs to work for you every day. It needs to be a part of your functioning operational goals, as well as your revenue generating goals. So that's going to end today's session. I know it was a lot of information, but I did put some bullets in here. And I will have this downloadable at some point in the resource center on the website as a PDF, so you guys can have it. And look, if you're planning on either redesigning or building a new website, look, the link that's on here will have it has a template that you can download and you can fill out, and it will spark some questions. It will cause you to think about what's necessary on your website, and this is something that you can think through on your own. especially if you don't have the budget for a website. A website is just as important as your business plan and your marketing strategy. It is so important, and your branding. All of these different phases are so important. So, again, y'all, my name is Lanisha Renee, and thank you for listening to this session where we are talking about your websites and the importance of your websites. And, hey, continue to join us here on YouTube, LR Consulting Firm. And yeah, there are other videos that you guys can watch. This is the fourth session in the series. And I will see you guys soon. Don't forget to visit the website. Check on the updated blogs. It will give you guys some more information and hopefully answer a lot of your questions that you have around business. And don't forget to visit the resource center. It has been great. And I will talk to y'all soon.